The Hasselblad X2D II, affectionately nicknamed the X2D II, is the latest iteration of Hasselblad's medium-format powerhouse. For photographers who demand exquisite detail, lifelike color, and a shooting experience that feels as refined as the images it produces, this new release is worth examining closely. Building on the already well-received X2D II, the Mark II edition refines autofocus performance, usability, ergonomics, and even pricing. As someone who has worked extensively with the original model, including documenting a personal journey through Ukraine, I was particularly curious to see how Hasselblad addressed some of the quirks and shortcomings of its predecessor. This review focuses on real-world use of the X2D II in portrait photography, tested both in controlled studio conditions and in natural outdoor light. With Model Anna as the subject, I explored how the camera performs under various setups, how the new features impact the workflow, and whether the improvements justify upgrading or investing for those entering the medium format world. Build, craftsmanship, and first impressions. A Hasselblad X2D II is, like its predecessor, a 100-megapixel medium-format digital camera, handmade in Sweden. Hasselblad has long been synonymous with precision, durability, and timeless Scandinavian design. The camera body immediately communicates that heritage. It is elegant, minimalist, and reassuringly solid in the hand. From the first interaction, it feels less like a piece of consumer electronics and more like a finely crafted instrument. One noteworthy limitation remains: the X2D II is strictly a stills camera. It does not record video of any kind. For many photographers, this is hardly a deal-breaker. In fact, it reinforces the camera's focus on doing one thing exceptionally well: producing still images of unparalleled quality. At launch, the original X2D was priced around $8,200 USD. Surprisingly, Hasselblad has reduced the cost of the new X2D II to approximately $7,400 USD. In a market where new releases often bring price hikes, this decision stands out. It makes the camera more accessible while positioning it competitively against high-resolution full-frame options. The autofocus overhaul, perhaps the most significant and transformative change between the original and the Mark II, is autofocus performance. The X2D had a reputation for being deliberate, even sluggish, particularly in challenging lighting conditions such as backlit scenes. While some portrait photographers appreciated that slower pace feeling it encouraged more thoughtful composition, many found it limiting for dynamic work. The X2D II addresses this with continuous autofocus, face detection, and eye detection. These additions dramatically change the shooting experience. In practice, the Mark II feels closer to a modern mirrorless system, with fast and accurate subject acquisition. During backlit outdoor shoots, where the original X2D often struggled to lock focus on the subject's eyes, the Mark II consistently found its mark. Roughly 95% of the images captured in testing were tack-sharp. This reliability allows photographers to concentrate on expression, posing, and light rather than worrying about misfocus. Even more interesting is the addition of subject recognition modes for humans, animals, and vehicles. While my testing centered on portraiture, these options suggest Hasselblad is broadening the appeal of the X2D II for different genres of photography. Color science and image rendering. Hasselblad cameras are revered for their color science, and the X2D II continues this tradition with subtle but meaningful improvements. To evaluate this, I conducted side-by-side tests with both the original X2D and the new X2D II, using identical settings and white balance. The results reveal a small but noticeable shift. Skin tones from the X2D II appear warmer and more natural, while the earlier model leans slightly toward green. In portrait photography, where accurate and flattering skin tones are critical, this refinement cannot be overstated. Out of the camera, images already look polished, with a tonal richness that requires minimal post-processing. At the same time, the Hasselblad RAW files remain highly flexible. Even in heavily backlit outdoor shots that appeared washed out initially, I was able to recover both contrast and color effortlessly in post-production. This balance between beautiful straight-out-of-camera rendering and extensive editing latitude is one of the camera's greatest strengths. Ergonomics and usability. The X2D II makes several thoughtful changes to the body design. The most impactful is the addition of a joystick and a new programmable button beneath it. This joystick makes navigating focus points, reviewing images, and accessing information more intuitive. A simple push upward or downward reveals image data, while pressing it allows for quick zoom adjustments. Hasselblad's design philosophy shines here. Nothing feels cluttered or unnecessary. Each control serves a clear purpose, and the camera never overwhelms the photographer with excessive menus or dials. The grip has also been re-engineered, offering a more secure and comfortable hold during extended sessions. For a medium format camera, which is inherently larger and heavier than most mirrorless full-frame systems, these ergonomic refinements make a substantial difference in day-to-day use. Studio portrait session. To test the X2D II in a controlled environment, I set up a simple one-light studio configuration. A Jan Moulis G3 OLED light paired with a 190cm parabolic softbox provided the illumination. Positioned at full power with a neutral white balance, the setup created classic Rembrandt lighting slightly feathered for a timeless, painterly look. The backdrop was a collapsible Kate backdrop, black on one side and white on the other. For this shoot, the black surface was used to keep the focus squarely on the subject. Styling drew inspiration from flowers in my garden. These were woven into the model's hair, while wardrobe choices echoed the same tonal palette. Initially, we opted for a striking fuchsia dress that offered bold contrast against the black backdrop. Midway through, the outfit was changed to a softer pink gown, creating an entirely different mood. Both worked beautifully, though the softer tones paired particularly well with the X2D's warm and lifelike color rendering. The addition of a fan-created movement in the hair and fabric, lending the portrait's extra dynamism. As a finishing touch, the same flowers were repurposed as handheld props. This simple gesture gave the model something to interact with, leading to more natural poses and expressions. Throughout the session, the X2D II paired with the XCD90 the 0.5 lens delivered exceptional sharpness and bokeh. Even at wider apertures, the camera locked onto the model's eyes without hesitation. Outdoor portrait session's second phase of testing took the X2D II outdoors into a field of yellow flowers. The scene was strongly backlit, a situation that often challenges autofocus systems and dynamic range. Yet the Hasselblad handled it gracefully. For styling, we chose a romantic off-the-shoulder sundress complemented by a wide-brimmed hat and braided hair. Hats, when used thoughtfully, can add visual interest and a sense of character to portraits. They also interact beautifully with light, casting subtle shadows and highlights across the subject's face. The files straight out of the camera appeared somewhat flat due to the strong backlight, but in editing, I was able to recover every detail, restoring vibrant colors and full contrast. Later, as the sun dipped lower, we moved slightly to avoid nearby buildings entering the frame. The resulting images, bathed in golden light, may well be the standout shots from the entire review. Experimenting with poses, we explored ways the hat could be used interactively, tilting it to shield the eyes, holding it with both hands, or eventually removing it entirely. These variations provided an organic narrative sequence rather than a series of isolated portraits. The camera's consistency ensured that creative exploration could proceed unhindered by technical limitations. Image quality and file flexibility. The defining feature of a 100-megapixel medium format camera is, of course, its resolution. The X2D II captures extraordinary levels of detail. Textures in fabric, strands of hair, and even subtle skin features are rendered with lifelike precision. However, resolution alone is not what sets these files apart. The tonal gradation, dynamic range, and depth are equally impressive. Images feel three-dimensional, with transitions between highlights and shadows appearing smoother than what most full-frame systems can deliver. For professional portrait photographers, this means the ability to create prints of enormous size without losing fidelity, as well as the confidence that even aggressive cropping will leave sufficient resolution intact. Price and value at $7,400 USD. The X2D II undercuts its predecessor's launch price by nearly $800. This is an unexpected but welcome move, especially considering the improvements in autofocus, ergonomics, and color rendering. While still a significant investment, the pricing makes medium format more attainable for working professionals or serious enthusiasts who might have previously hesitated. The cost is justified not only by the camera's technical specifications but also by its craftsmanship. A Hasselblad is built to last, and owning one feels as much like an artistic statement as a professional decision. Final thoughts: the Hasselblad X2D II is not just an incremental update. It feels like a thoughtful response to user feedback. Faster and more reliable autofocus transforms the shooting experience, particularly in dynamic or backlit conditions. Ergonomic refinements like the joystick make operation more intuitive, while subtle improvements in color science elevate portrait rendering. Perhaps most surprising is the price reduction, which positions the X2D II more competitively than ever. For those who already own the original X2D, the decision to upgrade will depend on how much value they place on autofocus performance and usability improvements. For new buyers entering the system, the Mark II makes a compelling case as one of the finest portrait cameras available today. In both studio and outdoor sessions, the X2D II consistently delivered files of astonishing beauty, images that feel less like digital captures and more like fine art. From the flexibility of its raw files to the tactile joy of its controls, this is a camera that encourages photographers to slow down, be intentional, and create work that endures. For portrait photographers seeking the pinnacle of image quality and a shooting experience that balances tradition with modernity, the Hasselblad X2D II stands as a worthy companion.